Alright, hello YouTube people. I just kind of had an idea for a video real quick, and thought I would go ahead and kind of just since it's on my mind, kind of get it you guys' way. This is going to be kind of a multitude of things, but it's mainly going to be musicians in relation to pawn shops and going to them and buying from them. Now, the first thing I want to point out is that pawn shops up in the DFW area they seem to be quite a bit different than pawn shops down in the RGV. Harlingen, Texas, down in the RGV probably has 10 pawn shops that, well, maybe not that many, maybe like 8 pawn shops within a mile or 2 of each other that I can think of. So if you wanted to do a pawn shop run in Harlingen, you can pretty much do like a little sort of semicircle and kind of wind up back at, say, Easy Pawn there by Whataburger on Tyler. That's probably technically like the first one in town, sort of, depending on how you're coming. And then go all the way out to the Amigo Pawn out there on 77, and then just follow 77 back through, and you could wind up at that first Easy Cash or Easy Pawn there, if you wanted to get something you saw there the first time. So it's easier to, kind of get to them all. In DFW, traffic is so bad you kind of wouldn't want to go to more than 1 or 2 pawn shops. There are many, but most people just go to the one near their neighborhood to pawn something, not always to buy stuff there. I have also noticed that pawn shops up here are a lot less willing to work with you on the price of something. As far as I'm concerned, I go into a pawn shop, I am not paying what's on that price tag. That is not the price. The price is what I negotiate it down to. And there are several possibilities there, depending on who you're talking to and stuff, but I usually try and go down to around 3/4 of at least. I don't go trying to knock half off right away, but try and go take like 25% off right away if I can, maybe a little more, 30%. Because I guarantee that they're marking that thing up probably 400% anyway. So there's that to consider. Now, guitarists, the majority of the instruments that I've had have come from pawn shops, and almost all of them have had something wrong with them. So, there's that to consider as well. There is something very cool about finding that thing, like my Warlock is a Samick Warlock, and those are very rare. So yeah, I was lucky to find that. But at the same time, I could have just gotten a BC Rich Warlock and, had sort of the same thing for just about the same money when you get down to it. But Valley pawn shops are much more willing to negotiate than Dallas area pawn shops, and I guess I kind of get why. Back to the guitar player, drummer, singer thing. Pawn shops are not always the best place to get that stuff unless you can really negotiate it down, and they're usually much less willing to negotiate if you're going to put stuff on layaway. If you're going to put stuff on layaway, they usually tell you that's going to be at sticker price. if you have some cash on you and you can pick up at least some of it right there, you could probably talk them down at least a quarter and save some money. And when you deal with enough pawn shops, you get good at this. Or you go live in China for 3.5 years, you'll be pretty good at it as well. I go to one pawn shop up here, and he's not too willing to negotiate. Excuse me. He has a it's mostly a music store, but they're all used instruments and stuff. He was a licensed Fender dealer for a while, so he had a few new Strats in there and stuff. But for the most part, he just has used instruments, and he's just not. He doesn't always have that much wiggle room, he says, but I think he's paid, again, quite a bit less than sticker price. But a profit margin is a profit margin, and he wants to meet that. I've dealt with one or two of the bigger box kind of pawn shops, and they're just difficult to deal with here. And privately owned pawn shops, I haven't been into too many of those, except the one in Denton. Now, there's an alternative, especially for you musicians, to pawn shops. There are two websites: American Musical Supply, or it's just AmericanMusical.com, or AMS, and then Zounds, ZOUNDS. These two sites offer payment plans, and their lowest payment plans, with Zounds, it's 4 months. With AMS, it's 3 months, and that would be up to like a $700 price, you know. And you pay on that with AMS 3 months, with Zounds 4 months. So it spreads your payment out over some time, and it builds credit with the company. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. But if you flub on the payments, then of course they're gonna hit your credit with that. You might have a hard time getting another instrument from them. So I just try and stick with stuff in like the 400 range if I'm going to consider doing a payment option on that. And then they do have some scratch and dent stuff that you might be able to get on payment. They don't offer it if you're only going to get that. So you could get a scratch and dent guitar and then say a wah pedal and put that all under the same 3 payment plan, but you couldn't just get the scratch and dent guitar on payments. It's weird. Get a new guitar on payments. And that's what I'd kind of recommend people do, if, especially like newer players, if you want something that's nice and stays in tune and hasn't like seen a bunch of like smoky bars and stuff like that, then buy a new instrument. Now, sometimes it's nice to have that nostalgia about an instrument, and I get that. But I still think that the payment plans are a good option for most people versus a pawn shop. Here, let me just look at, like right here, I'm looking at a Schecter Omen Extreme 5-string electric bass guitar. It only comes in vintage Sunburst, but it's what's up on screen, so, or they only have the vintage Sunburst one. It's up on screen though, so let's see. The guitar is $479. They would let you have that in 3 payments of $159.67 plus a $4 payment fee the first time, not the next 2. So it'd be like $160. Excuse me, $3 the first payment, and then $159.67 the next 2. And that happens on the day that your instrument ships every month. So that's like layaway, but you have the instrument, you know. So if you can put a lot of stuff on layaway for 3 months at a pawn shop, then there's no reason you couldn't do this payment plan. And if your credit's good, you can get up to 12 months on some things, you know, and really stretch the payments out. So, you know, I just kind of wanted to put that out there for you. I'll try and put some links in the video here. And also keep in mind that I've gotten some good deals on instruments through not Facebook, through Craigslist. It's a little better because you have more freedom to negotiate, and you're usually going to see at least a series of pictures on what you're going to buy. Facebook is getting more popular for musician communities. There's two that I'm a member of, RGV Guitarists. Just search for that in Facebook if you guys are from the Valley. And then I just started the DFW Guitarists group. Go ahead and search for that as well. I'm really looking for some local Dallas members on that one. I only have Valley folks as members on that so far. So it'd be nice to get some DFW people on that thing, since that's who it's for. And on those pages, you're welcome to talk about your gear, put any gear you have up for sale or trade. You know, if you service guitars or anything like that, you can put those services there as well. And you know, people can contact you through Facebook messages and such. So it's getting to where, you know, pawn shops are almost obsolete, especially when you get Craigslist involved. Anyway, you have any questions on, you know, purchasing instruments online or at pawn shops or you know, anything like that, then go ahead and send me a comment or a message. Have a good one.